5 tips how to be prepared for the conflict. Let's go. Hi, Freelance Mushrooms here. We help freelancers and digital teams to grow their businesses. Today we'll talk conflicts with customers, how to avoid them and how to resolve them. My name is Eugene and this is Denise here. I think we can both say that we can't really call ourselves freelancers because we have people working for us. Either way, both of us operate businesses with sales of 6 digits a year, and we're happy to share all our secrets today about conflicts.
Conflicts is a very interesting topic. This is continuation from our previous episode about how to filter clients. And if you didn't check it already, here is the link. Eugene, what do you think about conflicts with the clients?
I think the best fight is the one that never happened. And I believe this is very relevant to conflicts with customers. They just shouldn't happen.
Eugene, you're a bit cheating. Let's be honest. You had conflicts, you have conflicts, and you will have conflicts with clients.
That's true. I admit, caught me red-handed. But the way I've been always building the processes in my business is that the conflict shouldn't happen. And it's been quite successful because if you look at my profiles, you would see quite high ratings, which are very difficult to maintain. So the average client satisfaction level is quite high. And I believe that happened due to a particular job descriptions and templates in my messages and interactions with the customer so that the conflict never happens. Even if it happens, yeah, you try to solve it somehow, but generally, it happens very rarely. I guess that's my secret.
Okay, I appreciate your approach. I think willing to avoid the conflicts in any case, it's very important. But my strategy has like second component. The second component is to be prepared to the conflict in any sector of doing job for the client. And this is the key how we can solve any conflict successfully, both for you and for client, if it happened. Let me share my points strategy.
So how many points in the strategy and what are they?
Let it be 5.
Okay, so 5 tips how to be prepared for the conflict. Let's go.
Yeah, the first, every negotiations, every elaboration should be written down in the end.
Everything should be written down. So basically, I've heard this rule somewhere that if something isn't written, that is not truth. I usually use that rule when I'm developing job descriptions, and it's very useful in the onboarding process to keep that rule in mind because the job descriptions which you are developing for a new employee, for example, they should answer all of the situations. I believe you're using the same approach in your interactions with the customer, Denise. Is that correct?
Yeah, just to be honest, I'm not talking about you should only chat with the client. I'm talking that all the decision made during the collaboration should be written down and both sides should be agreed with them.
So are you basically saying sign the agreement whenever you are getting engaged with the customer, so financial? Is that what you are suggesting basically?
It's mostly about the scope of work. It's not about estimate. Agreed estimate is really important for sure, but it's mostly about the scope of work because mostly the problems come when we miss something important in the middle.
So basically have the main terms of the upcoming contract written down, which will include the scope of work you are providing for the customer. That could be, for example, rounds of revisions you're willing to provide at any stage, especially if you're working with a fixed price contract structure, you always should have the amounts of revisions you're providing. People are doing it in a tricky way. They say unlimited rounds of revisions, but you cannot ask for more than once a day. And they charge subscription, which would include the service of 30 days a month.
So true.
Yeah, it's unlimited, but your customer is paying with the most valuable asset they own, time. Right? There is nothing could be unlimited because we don't possess unlimited resources and etc. Usually when people say unlimited revisions, sometimes customers not always react well to that. They want because it may sound too good to be true. Anyways, long story short, let's go to the second point. What's the second point, Denise, in your methodology of avoiding conflicts?
Second point is also about the work should be done and how it should be done.
So he's talking about validating the task?
Yes. When the client translating their vision about how work should be done and what should be done and what is the result. Words is tricky thing and human is very interesting creature. Same words could be understood like different ways with different people. My team always validate, understands the task, starting from, am I correct understanding that blah, 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 blah. Please share your understanding of the task and please do it before the point one actually. The point one is very important, that everything should be written, but point two is very important too, because before you cut into stone your agreement, both of you and your client should understand the same way what you're trying to write.
So if let's say a customer hires, let's say to develop a logo, right? First, and they are saying, well, my logo should have peanuts and butter. You say, am I correct that you want me to develop a logo with these types of colors, which would have both peanuts and butter on it?
What kind of butter? Really important.
And your name. Yeah. Or maybe peanut butter.
Actually.
Yeah, or maybe just butter. Yeah. So, but basically, before you write the terms and scope of work, which you mentioned in the point one, you basically ask this clarification question of validating the task, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess this is part of the thing which you should have in your DNA whenever you're negotiating any deal. But yeah, totally makes sense. Definitely agree with you over there. Let's go to number 3. What is it?
The third point is ask your client really important question. Is there anything I should know about the task?
Yeah, and whenever you ask that question, you guys should be prepared for very interesting answers. In any case, I agree with this point 100%, and you may ask at this point that basically, well, there's been already 3 points and it has nothing to do with the conflict, right? So I'm asking questions the customer before, during the work, but how is it going to help the conflict? Well, here is how. If you have this information, this may help you actually not even to have the conflict in the first place, or if you have this information, it will help you to be prepared for a nice and smooth conflict resolution. Whenever you get a conflict, you actually need to jump from the point of where you are arguing with the customer. You shouldn't argue with the customer. You should say, okay, listen, this is what we agreed on, this is what happened. When you deliver that to the customer, it will be easier for the customer to stop blaming you and start talking with you about how to resolve the problem. And obviously, during the resolution problem, you're going to charge them too.
Sounds really cool. Sounds really sweet. And this is lead to the next point. Solve any conflict together with the client, not against them.
What do you mean by that? Together, not against them. So how, like, if customer is unhappy, he is angry, and here you are, you manage to get them on the call. The call starts from, listen, you could do a better job. You did this and this damage. He's unhappy. How can you make him feel you're in the same boat now?
You should just say to your client, really, these words, we're on the same boat, we're on the same side. I'm by you, and we're trying to find the solution. We're trying our best on our side to find solution for you, with you. We are one team solving the problem. We're not apart. We're not different teams. We're not opposite. We're trying to solve the situation.
And actually, 2 smart human beings always can figure out the way to agree with each other and to negotiate things. This is again, coming back to our previous podcast, how to choose a customer. This is why it's important to choose a customer with mentality you understand, because in this case, you have a much higher chance to go through conflict resolution process with a much higher level of success.
The fourth point is about changes management. This is very important thing which is usually trying to skip, because it's like obvious. I say you change this, like a client, and you change it. How it influence, how it changes the estimate, the hours, the result. Client have no idea. You just do your job. But you, when you're doing your job, should keep client posted how his changes influence the work process at all. This is your job, and this also should be written.
So let's say you were providing web development services, just like your team is developing a website for me now. and I'm paying for a Google AdWords campaign on a daily basis. If for any reason my website gets shut down, obviously it would be nice to switch communication from, let's say, email and get via Messenger, via WhatsApp, for example, nearly hourly updates regarding the progress that which has been done so far and when it's going to be up. Is that what we are talking about?
And this is point number 5. Keep your client posted all the way when conflict is going. When the problem is going, our client should feel like on edge of the fingers what is going on your side. In this case, the client will understand all your passion to solve the problem.
And that way you are going to actually provide them with the feeling that by saying, listen, dear customer, we're in the same boat, it's not just words, it is actually happening. And this is exactly how it should happen. Very quick updates about every baby step in solving client's problem.
Yeah, I can talk an example. It was some e-commerce site with pretty big amount of revenue, and we had a problem
Daily revenue.
without payments. No payments, no revenue.
So meaning the payments on client's website stopped working,
Yes,
correct?
yes. It was working on the front end that expectable customer get all the email and so on and so on. But somewhere between payment gate and the e-commerce site was a problem. Nobody knows still what was going on for sure, but it was a big problem because money was somewhere in the cloud.
So money was taken from customer side on the front end, and then on the back
Disappeared,
end,
just
the customer
disappeared.
couldn't find them. This is a pretty horrible situation.
Yes.
You all of a sudden are facing a bunch of lawsuits. Oh my God. Okay, so this is a bit of a disaster.
Kind of nightmare. And during 2 days when we were solving the problem, our account manager was keep posting client like
No, it wasn't 2 days. I assume those were like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And for some of your employees who were doing this was like what, 172,800 seconds.
Yeah, something like this. The guy who really solved the problem, actually, it was our account manager who was posting the client every like 1 or 2 hours with all the list, what we're doing, what we done, and it's like wrong assumption, and what we're going to do next.
So he basically said what's working, what's not working, and what we are planning to do, and then update about the results of every step which was done.
Yes, and the outcome of this situation was really unexpected. In the end of the day, the client was happy when we solved the problem, but also he was happy because we was the most transparent team which he worked with, and he wants to continue cooperation.
Because basically he understands that an old friend is way better than 2 new ones.
Really, really poetic, but true.
Great. So once again, to recap, 5 points. Number 1, if it's not written, it's not true. Number 2, validate your understanding of the task. Number 3, you ask a question, is there anything I should know about the results you expect me to deliver? Number 4, this help me?
Changes management.
Yes. And number 5,
Keep your client posted during all the period of solving problem, all the period of conflict.
one extra piece of advice from me regarding the beginning of conversation with an angry customer during conflict resolution process is to remain calm and do not let emotions to affect any of your business decisions. Your emotions shouldn't affect your business decisions, and client emotions shouldn't affect neither yours nor their business decisions. So basically, remember one thing, you are making money. This is transactional relationship. Emotions may take place and you may provide the possibility to blow off the steam. And if you do it right, if it puts too much pressure on you, provide yourself a possibility to invoice for that service you're providing to the customer. So get yourself together, I don't know, call to a psychiatrist afterwards or before the meeting. It doesn't really matter, was it gonna take you to take the heat? But you have to take the heat if you are coming to the kitchen of freelancing or providing B2B services as a small team.
This is it for now. Stay with us. Next episode of our podcast, we will be talking about interview, how to ask questions during the interview to avoid problems with client, to avoid conflict with client, and to have happy client in the end and happy you.
Feel free to write a comment below with your particular unique situation with the customer and any question you may have. And make sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel. Freelance Mushrooms, see you later.
See you.